For the first time ever, I want to bring you along the process of creating my Our Planet Week pieces. For a tiny bit of context, for those of you who don't know, I started Our Planet Week back in 2020 with a very simple idea of using art to spark awareness and action for our planet. It's an annual illustration online event that starts on Earth Day, April 22nd, and nowadays runs for 10 days. How it works is that anyone who draws or illustrates can join us. We don't care if you are a professional, if you have any sort of a fancy degree, if you draw just for yourself, anyone is welcome. What started as a small illustration challenge has grown into this amazing community. What's more, I've been told several times that art directors actually found and hired illustrators for their projects through Our Planet Week. The hosting team comes up with a set of prompts, usually we have 5 of them, and the artists that join us create one interpretation, one illustration per each prompt. Then you share each illustration on the designated days to your social media, mostly Instagram, although we are also expanding to LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. Our awesome hosting team came up and curated 5 inspiring prompts that this time around were centered on our senses and how we feel and perceive the world through them. I often see artists, and I also do this myself, turning the challenge illustration pieces into a bigger project. So some choose to tell a story across the images, others create a small collections, for some it's a great opportunity to practice packaging illustrations, and so on. This year I created tarot card illustrations as the prompt interpretations. You might be asking, what's up with the whole tarot deck card and what does it have to do with Our Planet Week? Actually, this tarot card deck is a project I started back in 2022, already 3 years ago, and it was my dream to continue it. As my original idea behind this deck explores the relationship between the humans and animals, it was just perfect to let the illustrations be guided by the challenge prompts. Whenever I work for myself, meaning no clients are involved, my sketches are a mess. I basically draw 5 wobbly lines and that's it. I think it's because my thought process can be pretty messy. I do not have to follow the traditional stages of a project. It's not something I would do when working with client, ever. Here you will see what a disaster I am when it comes to filming myself. Please don't worry and don't leave the video because it's gonna get better for all the other entries and illustrations that I made. I just completely forgot to switch on the camera. So here in this case, actually I didn't film the most important part of the illustration, I believe. But I promise you, with the following months, it's not gonna happen. I think. The first prompt was touch the ground, and here my idea aligned very nicely with the representation of the Empress. Traditionally in the tarot deck, the card shows a woman on a lush throne surrounded by nature that represents connection to the earth, motherhood, and nurturing power of the planet. This is also the angle that I wanted to work with by creating a character that's powerful, but also nurturing, deeply connected to the earth. Including squirrels, particularly in this illustration, was actually an idea that occurred to me on my London trip when I myself was surrounded by squirrels at some point. I often recommend artists, especially the ones that join us for the first time, to set a goal or a main idea for the challenge. So you can take it as a great opportunity to talk about things that are important to you. You can use the challenge to create personal portfolio pieces. I often repeat that the prompts and the illustration challenges are a great opportunity to boost your creativity, improve your illustration skills. Plus, it's very motivating when you take part in the event and there are more illustrators giving a spin of the same idea together with you. Our next prompt for the days 3 and 4 was fill the air, and I must say I spent a lot of time thinking how to align a card symbolism with the prompt, with what I aimed at representing. Naturally, when working with the concept of human-animal symbiosis, representing the air through birds was an easy choice to make. It took quite a long time to find a color palette that I was satisfied with, and you can see that now I am completing those tiny birds that surround the main character. I wanted this card to be especially heavy with symbolism, and you can also see how differently I treat those little tiny birds that form a garland. They are more graphic. It also impacts the color because the 4 bird heads work sort of like an ornament for the illustration. This is how their color palette was adapted. And the birds that are present in the corners are a bit more realistic. You will see that the character in the center, it changed. My idea for it changed a few times. At the end, I decided to represent a simple scene of love and appreciation and companionship between a girl and a very common bird. Birds are freedom and independence, so can we really make them ours? Or rather, should we always stay on the side, observing and admiring them? That's why I decided at the last stage of the illustration to make the bird sheer as if the concept of a human dominating one is something that's out of our reach. Each year we have a different hosting team, even though many of the artists hosting the event have been with us for many previous editions and they are basically old-timers, and their work, time and support has been indescribable. For the last 3 years, I think, I've been organizing a sort of an open call in my Instagram stories for artists who want to get more engaged in the event. This is a great opportunity if you are ever interested in joining us in the hosting team, but also for us to meet new amazing artists and hopefully meet again in the future hosting teams. This year we had amazing hosts and the event wouldn't be possible without them. I want to make sure that you meet them all because they've been of incredible support, they've worked really hard, and they also created the most beautiful pieces. For this one, my idea was very simple: to give more attention to the animals that very often are somehow ignored. So instead of representing a school of beautiful, colorful tropical fish, as I often do, I wanted to combine magic that is a mermaid with more common fish, like, for example, an eel. Actually, you can see that I use as a reference some pictures of different kinds of an eel to illustrate the fish. I paired this prompt, Hear the Ocean, with the card of High Priestess, because that's the card of intuition, mystery, and the subconscious. So everything that the ocean symbolizes. High Priestess is also about listening to your inner voice, which I thought translates beautifully to listening to the voice of the ocean. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about how we celebrate and praise and depict beauty in art, but very rarely we focus on or show something that we don't admire for its physical appearance only. And there is so much beauty there too, we just choose not to see it. So this one is very simple. I simply represented a mermaid with a big glowing pearl, kind of illuminating the whole scenery, sitting on a big shell and surrounded by a big group of fish. Most of all, the event wouldn't be possible without so many amazing artists who put in their time, skills, imaginations to create illustrations following each prompt. Independently, if you have or haven't taken part in our Planet Week, I super invite you to check the hashtag and check out all the beautiful work that has been created, not only this year but also in the previous editions. If you happen to be an art director looking for artists, also check the hashtags because there are some really beautiful examples of human creativity and skills on there. You can also do it by checking our Planet Week Instagram account where we feature our favorite pieces, so don't miss it. This sketch is so messy, I actually had to write down what I had in mind when I sketched it. So this you can see is a fox, this should be a hare. Here we have an outline of a bear, and this is the hermit. I've got like branches coming out of the sides of the illustration, which is something that will change as I work on it. I also thought of including some smaller animal. You will see in my sketch phase that I considered briefly to include a lynx. My thought for a moment was to represent the direct physical closeness with the animal while keeping the bear behind them as a more spiritual presence. I also wanted to pack this one with symbols, so for example, a sword embedded in the ground, as the hermit and the nature are the symbols of peace. For the longest time, the silhouette of the hermit was incomplete. I was leaving it till the last moment like this, working out in my head, should he be standing, sitting, kneeling, what posture really would express in the best way what I wanted to show with this illustration. In the background, from the very beginning, I had like a big, simple, round plants, and this is also something that keeps evolving. I think out of all the illustration that I created, this is the one that was the most dynamic in the making. The initial idea was to set this scene in a dark forest with a male character and a very majestic animal presence, like a dominating bear or a deer, maybe with more animals around and a very emotional tone. Because for this one, See the Wild, I wanted to give more presence and dominance to the animals, I chose the card of the hermit as a solitary man in a forest. Okay, this is a very funny thing that I would like to show you. So, one of the animals in the scene is a rabbit or a hare, and when I drew it, I actually laughed so hard. If tonight you have any nightmares, that's gonna be on me probably, because look at him. Look what I did. Look at what I created. I don't know what happened there. It's it's pretty scary. I fixed it pretty quickly, but that was a jump scare. Anyways, continuing with the illustration. I wanted to have one main animal and then surround him with smaller ones. And the point of this card, as it is the point of the original tarot card, is that the hermit is still. He's just witnessing the world as it really is without changing it in any major way. This card, and I also feel like this prompt, is more about seeing and not acting. And it's very in tune with the solitude and introspection of the hermit. You can see that the first illustration I created, the Empress, she also has the same gesture of a stretched out hand. What I also wanted to represent is the forest as his home, so he's not apart from nature, but he stays within it. The hermit fits perfectly into a quiet witnessing role, and the prompt See the Wild feels more about presence than power. I also wanted to give it this refreshing spin on masculinity, so to be more reflective, observant, and emotionally connected. Normally in the hermit representation he carries a lantern, but here I thought, what about if the presence of the animals and their wisdom serves as the illuminating point in the scene? And for the final effect, I wanted to give the scene more softness, which I did by adding some soft features to the fox, to the hare, to the hermit himself, and I wanted to give the whole scene a warm glow. It's such a beautiful opportunity not only to speak about the nature and the environment and hopefully make the audience reflect, but also to create personal pieces to add to your portfolio, continue your personal projects, or something that you've really wanted to sit down to but never really had time to do it. It is so rewarding and it's so inspiring, and I always love coming up with my own ideas, but also observing what other artists do and how sometimes we approach the same idea and prompt with the same concepts, but other times our minds drift very much away from it, but still have the prompt idea at its core. Every year the host team designs the last final prompt to be the most open-ended one, to encourage many possible interpretations. It's always the one that requires the most creative approach. Go beyond for me sounds like taking an extra step or a step into the unknown. By wanting and pursuing something extra, there's always some risk associated with that. I thought that the Fool, a card which traditionally symbolizes openness, curiosity, and the trust in the unknown, is a great combination of concepts. As I started this illustration over 3 years ago, this is the only footage that I found from back then. The videos you see here, I recorded them with my phone. For our Planet Week, I revisited this unfinished illustration, and honestly, I made only minimal changes, mostly focusing on finishing the original idea. In the Fool card, there is often a dog that's said to symbolize instinct, loyalty, or caution, and instead of a dog I drew a few baby goats because they're the most joyful and jumpy animals that, in my opinion, behave a lot like dogs. I thought that this could have so many connotations with taking a step in the environmental context. How most take unnecessary steps to further destroy the planet, while only some put in extra effort, often taking risk to do something good for the world, the nature, the animals, and others. That's why the cliff suggests the potential of danger and falling down, but the Fool appears unconcerned, trusting in the path ahead. Also, the path ahead is open, just like the last prompt. Each year, our Planet Week is a lot of work. It's pretty time consuming, especially for the artists who organize and prepare the entire event, but also for all the participants who decide to step up their Instagram game, to push themselves harder, creating more personal illustrations, and for 10 days straight become a part of our environmental illustration community. So consider joining us for the 7th edition next year, 2026. And don't forget to check our hashtags, the May account, and see all the inspiring entries and all the illustrators who created incredible work for yourself. Please let me know in the comments if before this video you are familiar with our Planet Week, if you've joined us before, if you've taken part in this year's edition, and I see you in the next one pretty soon. Bye!